Hello everybody, welcome back to 2DS Studios. I'm 2DS and this is the studio. Glad to see that I am here for the second episode of Behind the Sketches. Although originally this was planned to be the DeMario episode, I am gonna move that to episode 3. Episode 1 was very focused on the content creator side, on like how I started doing YouTube and how I started doing TikTok and then moved to YouTube and all that. And only briefly touching on my art stuff. This one I want to kind of just mainly focus on the art stuff to give you an idea on the art focused episodes and the more YouTube side. I've been feeling rather nostalgic as of late, nearing my 18th birthday, and just remembering the fun times as a kid watching Nickelodeon on TV, and then I thought, why not draw some Nicktoons? But not just any Nicktoons. Some of you guys might remember this little game called Nicktoons Unite. It was like a little series of cool crossover games featuring Nicktoons from across the 2000s. I'll be sticking with the main 4 stars of these games for this video, but I will definitely like to draw other Nicktoons later on and do another episode like this too. Anyways, let's sit back and relax as we take a look behind the sketches.
Hey, Patrick.
What?
I thought of something funnier than 24.
Let me hear it.
25.
SpongeBob, the Mickey Mouse of Nickelodeon. Little fun fact about SpongeBob is that SpongeBob ranks on the 5th longest running animated series of all time, with 320 episodes since 1999. 320 episodes, not even including spin-offs. That's just the one series that's been going on for 25 years. Also, yeah, this year marks the 25th anniversary of SpongeBob, so happy anniversary, Sponge Boy! I knew that with an occasion like that, I had to draw a little something for SpongeBob. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna just do a little simple drawing right here. Just old spongy boy with his hat. I don't know why, but for me, whenever I look at SpongeBob, I always feel like he looks weird without the Krusty Krab hat. Like, something about him without his hat just always looks off to me. I don't know what it is. I think I just really like the Krusty Krab hat a lot. I've always wondered what the Krabby Patties tasted like when I was a kid. Like, does the burger being underwater add extra flavor, like, because of the sea salt? I mean, if Plankton keeps trying to steal the formula, it must be really good. I mean, it could be lace, but, you know, it's a kid's show, so I highly doubt they'd be cool with that. But, yeah, with that, we have finished good old SpongeBob SquarePants. Happy 25 years, Spongy Boy! Man, Jimmy Neutron was peak. Oh my god, like, let me tell you, Jimmy Neutron was so good, like, as a kid and even now. Like, I love the show so much, and the movie. When I was a kid, I thought that the show came first and then the movie, but then I grew up and I realized that was the other way around, with the movie kind of being like an extended first episode. Not only that, but it was an Oscar nominee for the Best Animated Film. Back in 2001, they introduced the Best Animated Feature category in the Oscars, and there were 3 runners: Monsters Inc., Shrek, and Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. And the winner of it was... Shrek. Now, Shrek is obviously one of the greatest movies in cinematic history, but man, Jimmy Neutron was so robbed. Not really. I mean, look, when you're competing against Shrek, Jimmy, you might be a boy genius, but you gotta know when to throw in the towel, man. And before they settled on the name Jimmy Neutron, Jimmy's original name was gonna be Johnny Quasar, which ironically sounds like a bootleg version of the final name. Like, we don't have Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, but we do have Johnny Quasar Kid Scientist. I gotta say, I'm really proud of how all these drawings have turned out, but something about the Jimmy Neutron one, it just really... something about the Jimmy Neutron drawing I made just really impresses myself. I don't know, it's like Jimmy just looks really well drawn, and Goddard especially. Like, I'm surprised how much I was able to really nail Goddard. Like, I thought Goddard was going to be really tricky for me to draw because of his weird cube body, but nah, I nailed it pretty good. And last but not least, I had to include a little rocket saying "Got a blast," because how could I not? Before I move on, I kind of want to highlight something that sounds a little random, but I can't help but really like it. I really like the Nickelodeon logo because depending on certain shows, they changed the Nickelodeon logo into a different shape to fit the series. You know, like for Jimmy Neutron, they made it into a rocket, and then they made it into a bunch of other shapes. But yeah, you also got the classic Splat logos. You also got the Blimp logo that they used for the Kids' Choice Awards, and the
That one didn't age quite so well.
Okay, so on a way lighter note, let's talk about the Fairly Odd Parents. If I remember correctly, this show was the second longest running Nicktoon right behind SpongeBob, and the second most popular. This drawing was really interesting for me because Fairly Odd Parents has a very distinct art style, and like trying to translate the Butch Hartman designs into my own art style was a little bit tricky for me. Timmy, it was pretty simple, but Cosmo and Wanda was where I kind of struggled a little bit, mainly because like the proportions, like I was trying to think how I wanted Cosmo and Wanda to look in terms of proportions. Like, should they be kind of close to Timmy like they are in the show? Or should I make them look adult-ish looking? So I kind of found a midway point that ended up working. That they look adult, but, you know, like closer to Timmy's like proportions and height and everything. Part of me also did want to add Poof to the drawing too, but then I was like, oh great, now how am I going to translate Poof into my art style? Like, do I make it into like a real baby? Like, do I draw a baby, or do I just like draw the Kirby looking ball with eyes? So I was like, nah, I'm gonna just stick with the OGs, Cosmo, Wanda, and Timmy. I am really proud of this one too. Like, I love the background a lot. I love the way I was able to kind of do the characters in my own art style. Like, Fairly Odd Parents is just a really fun series to draw, and there are so many like fun characters I could draw in the future too. Like, I could draw the Crimson Chin, Catman, Brittany, Chip Skylark, who was voiced by one of the guys from NSYNC, weirdly enough. I always really liked the art style that Butch Hartman shows had, and I always found it really unique compared to a lot of other shows. So I definitely feel proud in being able to translate his work into my own art style pretty effectively. And with the new sequel show, Fairly Odd Parents: A New Wish, introducing Hazel, the new godchild, I already know that I'm gonna have to do some fan art of that. I've seen a few clips of the show and it looks really promising. I'm a big fan of the new art style, and the theme song is super good. Definitely drawing this in part 2. Representation for the win, baby!
He's a phantom.
Before I start talking about the drawing, can we all agree that Danny Phantom has the best theme song out of any Nick show? We can? Good. Anyways, back to the drawing. Here it is, Danny Phantom, the second most popular Butch Hartman show. And rightfully so, because this show slapped. I really love Danny Phantom so much because of like the concept is just so cool. Like, you basically have a mix of Ghostbusters and Spider-Man, and it's one of the coolest things ever. Like, I wish there was like a Danny Phantom movie. Live action, animated, I don't care. I want it to happen at some point. I am going to see it. No one will stop me. I will break into the theater if I have to. I gotta say, one thing about making this drawing is that this was probably the hardest one out of all the Nicktoons drawings for me to make, because once again, the Butch Hartman art style. Fairly Odd Parents was also tricky to translate into my own art style, but Danny Phantom, it was a little bit trickier for me because I had to think of, because with Danny Phantom, he's like a superhero, so I'm thinking, alright, I gotta make it into like a superhero, like a Spider-Man kind of costume, and like with like Spider-Man-esque body proportions, but still trying to like make it fit the style and make sure you can look at it and be like, yeah, this is Danny Phantom, as opposed to just some random guy in a Danny Phantom costume. And I think I succeeded pretty well in that. I wanted this piece to really look a little bit like a comic book cover. It then gave me the idea that I could make like a bunch of more Danny Phantom comic cover style drawings like this, like with him fighting fighting all the other ghosts from the show, like Vlad, Box Ghost, Ember. Danny Phantom has such a cool rogues gallery, so I definitely have a lot of material to work with. That and this show was kind of the birth to a lot of childhood crushes of mine, but don't worry about that. Also, this year marks the 20th anniversary of Danny Phantom, hence the 20 years thing. And also had to have the Going Ghost tagline. Happy anniversary, Danny Phantom. Also, Butch Hartman saw it on my Instagram and he liked it, which was pretty crazy to me. I never thought Butch Hartman would ever get the chance to actually see my art, but here we are. Thanks to the wonders of the internet. Well, that's it for all the main stars of Nicktoons Unite. I was originally going to do like a big drawing of all four, but I'll save that for the next part. But for now, I'm gonna focus on the trilogy that inspired Nicktoons Unite in the first place. Time to draw the greatest crossover in cartoon history. The one, the only, the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour! And I'm not overhyping these either. The Jimmy Timmy Power Hours were the greatest crossovers of all time. And to this day, there really isn't anything quite like them. And in a way, they did inspire Nicktoons Unite, given that the first episode of the Power Hours ended up premiering before the Nicktoons Unite game. So I like to think of these as like the prequel to those, to extend the Nicktoons Unite cinematic universe. So yeah, this piece I was kind of inspired by the Jimmy Timmy Power Hours, obviously, but making it a little bit of a parody of Sonic Adventure 2. Because I really love Sonic, I'm a diehard Sonic fan, and I thought because of Jimmy and Timmy's initial rivalry, it would really fit with the Sonic Adventure 2 box art. And I just really enjoy drawing both of these shows a lot. Like, I just really enjoy doing fan art, especially when I get to do creative crossover ideas like this. I gotta say, it was really interesting for me making this because in the Jimmy Timmy Power Hours, the big appeal of it was seeing Timmy and Jimmy in their different shows' respective art styles, like seeing Jimmy in Fairly Odd Parents and seeing Timmy and Jimmy Neutron. So we got to see the cursed yet charming 3D Timmy Turner. I say cursed but charming because on one hand it is really cool seeing them in different art styles, but also Butch Hartman's art style does not really work very well in 3D, and that was like a big struggle with the Fairly Odd Parents franchise for years. Like, it took us all the way till this year with New Wish to get a 3D Fairly Odd Parents that actually looks good. That and Jimmy Neutron did come out in the early 2000s, so it was inevitable that the CG from that show would kind of age kind of rough over time, but I think Jimmy Neutron still looks good. It's just a little dated because, you know, it did come out in the early 2000s, so it gets a pass for that. Man, this piece turned out so ridiculously good. Like, I gotta say, as an artist, sometimes seeing how good my art is, like, when I go like nuts on a drawing, like, I just think, dang, I really made that. Other thing I want to highlight is the wand and the neutron symbols in the background. Thought those would be cool. And the tagline, "When Nerds Collide," is a reference to the title of the second Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, which I see as the best one in my opinion. And that's it for the big masterpiece for the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour, which also has its 20th anniversary this year. Happy anniversary, Jimmy Timmy! Well, that's it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I gotta say, there were a lot of anniversaries this video, weren't there? I'm sorry that I kind of disappeared after my 1K special, just posting drawing videos, but I meant to come back sooner, but, you know, personal life got really busy with it wrapping up the senior year. But on the bright side, it's summer break and I've officially graduated high school. I'm so excited to continue making more videos and to continue the series behind the sketches. Remember, it all started with a sketch. This has been TDS Studios, and until next time, stay tuned and stay cool.